tonight, but he's sick. We'd rather him stay at home. I'm going to start off just by saying, firstly, my name is Robert Smith. That is no coincidence with the name of the strategy. The Smith Manoeuvre was developed by my father back in the 80s. And we're going to get going here. So I know you folks are all interested in real estate investment, but I want you to forget about investment in real estate just for a moment and around back to that. This is about if you have a principal residence. You own a home, principal residence. So your mortgage, that very thing that you acquired, which enabled you to buy your house, where you could raise your family in peace and serenity. Look at that, isn't that a lovely house? Well, it's also the very thing that threatens your peace and serenity because it's so bloody expensive. Mortgages are not cheap, even at low rates. What does a mortgage really cost you? With $400,000 mortgage, 4.5%, amortized over 25 years, here's a 38% marginal tax rate. And this is the math that nobody buying a house really wants to do. You have to earn over $1 million over that 25 years in order to pay back that $400,000. Right there. You got to pay back the 400 grand. You got to make interest payments on top of that. Plus, you're making these payments with after-tax dollars. So you got to pay tax before you can make those P&I payments. Very, very expensive. We Canadians don't have it easy, as we know. We've learned this. It's not going to get any easier. Well, we've got high taxes, inadequate pension systems in Canada. We got mortgage expense, braces, summer camp, tuition if we got kids. There you go. 1 second here, guys. Mic issues?
Yeah, you can. You try to just point your voice at the camera.
Oh, okay.
People on the Zoom can't do it.
I got you. I'll stand a little closer. So high taxes, inadequate pensions, expensive mortgages, cost of life, inflation, 4.4%. That's just out today. On and on. We have to take action if we're going to protect our financial futures as Canadians. So we Canadians typically have two very important pressing financial goals. One of them is we want this expensive mortgage gone. We don't want this debt hanging over us forever. We also want to be able to prepare for retirement. So we've got these two goals, but the goal that we attack first, the decision is made for us, not by us, because nobody cares if we do not take money and put it aside to save for our retirement, but somebody certainly does care if we don't make our mortgage payment. We're going to get a knock on the door. And, you know, what we just heard in the previous presentation, we're going to start going through that scenario. So the decision on which goal to attack first is made for us, not by us. So we concentrate on paying down the mortgage at the expense of not getting invested. And if we're not getting invested, this is the vast majority of Canadians. Some of us are fortunate enough to be able to put a bit aside on a monthly basis for our future, but the vast majority of Canadians simply can't, they're too busy making this mortgage payment, and they're missing out on the benefit of compound growth. Where does that lead? Well, in retirement, we could be living on a small fixed income, being financially reliant on our children, being forced to downsize, being forced to sign up for a reverse mortgage, or working in our retirement. And the next time you guys are at Walmart, Costco, Burger King, have a look around and you'll see a lot of senior citizens working there, not because they want to, but because they have to. So nobody has our backs. We have to take care of ourselves. We know this. We know this, but do we take action? A lot of us don't. Congratulations to everyone here and online, because you are taking action, but the majority of Canadians don't. But we do have the ability, if we own our home, to reduce our tax bill, eliminate costly expenses, invest for our future as early and as often as possible. We need a quick discussion on debt, which real estate investors are very clear. Non-deductible debt destroys wealth. We're acquiring debt to buy assets which are going to depreciate in value, cars, vacations, all these different things. But tax-deductible debt creates wealth. It's tax-deductible, so it's cheap. And it's only tax deductible and cheap if we're acquiring assets which are going to increase in value. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, investment real estate, mixed, REITs, all this stuff. Two very different types of debt. A lot of Canadians measure their wealth by how much or little debt we have. And you guys will all understand it's very clear. But again, a lot of Canadians won't. They think, I have no mortgage, I have no debt, I'm doing pretty well. Well, if I got a $700,000 house, no liabilities, no assets, we see our net worth there at $700,000. If I do have a liability of $300,000, which allowed me to accrue investments of $740,000, we see who's better off on a net worth basis. So most Canadians need to change their view on debt and make it work for them. Unproductive equity in your home equals negative return. It's not getting put to work. There's currently 4.4% inflation. You're losing value. Your mortgage is one of your best and biggest investment opportunities. What the Smith Manoeuvre does is converts your 100% non-deductible mortgage to 100% tax-deductible debt. When we go to get a mortgage to buy our principal residence, there's no reasonable expectation of generating income, so we cannot deduct the interest. It's a principal residence. Each month, you're going to generate valuable and increasing tax deductions. You're able to eliminate your expensive mortgage in record time. Each month, you're able to invest money you would otherwise have available. All of this happens now simultaneously and needs no extra cash from the homeowner on a monthly basis. This is perhaps the only strategy out there that is going to increase your cash flow rather than take from it. So we have to understand financing. Here's a typical mortgage. I go out, got a down payment, I borrow $400,000 from the bank, I'm able to buy my house. All of this debt is non-deductible. Wrong way. Here's a readvanceable mortgage. Here's what we need in order to implement the strategy. It's got that typical mortgage component to it, but it's also got a line of credit which is attached, and both sides talk to each other. And when one side goes down with my principal interest payments or any prepayments, the other side increases. The line of credit side increases in what I can draw from the house, meaning I'm always owing the lender the same amount on a monthly basis, if I choose to. So each month, we make the regular monthly mortgage payment, as you would if you're not doing the Smith Manoeuvre. And this mortgage payment reduces the balance owing on that mortgage each month. With the readvanceable mortgages, we just saw the limit of that line of credit increases dollar for dollar. We can take that out and we can invest it. Like I said earlier, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, investment real estate, mixed REITs, all these different things. What we don't want to do is pull it out to make a BMW payment. We don't want to go on vacation with all this. All we're doing in that case is paying down non-deductible debt on one side and replacing it with non-deductible debt on the other side. Wealth destruction. Now, and we do this each month. We pay it down, we borrow it back to invest. And because we're doing this, generating this tax-deductible debt, we end up getting a tax refund at the end of the year. If we're employed. If we're self-employed, we reduce our tax bill. But generally, we see a tax refund because of all this tax-deductible debt. We take this money, which otherwise we would not have received if we were not doing the strategy. We take this money, we make a prepayment against that mortgage. We are able to reborrow whatever we prepay and get that invested as well. So for example, a $2,200 mortgage payment, $1,470 goes to interest, non-deductible interest, very expensive. But $730 does reduce the principal. So $400,000 mortgage goes down to $399,270. Because this went down by $730, the line of credit limit increases by $730. Now, what we do with it is critical. As I said, we need to borrow to invest with a reasonable expectation of generating income. If we borrow to consume, no deductibility. So we do this on a monthly basis. We're paying it down, we're pulling it back out to invest each and every month until we end up with $400,000 of fully tax-deductible debt. What's happened here? Because it's 100% tax-deductible, we're significantly decreasing our tax bill. We're getting this tax savings, and it allows us to prepay our mortgage on a monthly basis, which means we're getting out of that non-deductible debt faster. The faster we are out of that debt, the better. The less we pay in non-deductible interest, period. Full stop. And we're investing on a monthly basis into whatever we like, whatever we understand, whatever we feel like investing into. We're investing on a monthly basis, that principal reduction plus the amount of the annual tax refunds with which we're prepaying that mortgage. Now, for the typical Canadian homeowner, the plain Jane Smith Manoeuvre is worth about $300,000. It depends. Over the typical amortization of a residential mortgage in Canada, approximately 3 years are being removed from that amortization, 25 down to 22 years. But there are a number of accelerators that we can implement here. Debt swap, cash flow diversion, DRIP, prime account, and cash flow down. And I know I'm going very quickly here, folks, but there's a lot to go through and not a whole lot of time. But anyways, we're going to talk about each of these accelerators really quickly. The debt swap. I have the right mortgage now. Maybe I've had to refinance my mortgage. I have the right mortgage. I've also got $10,000 accrued in investments, non-registered investments, saved them up for a while now. I can, should I choose, redeem these investments for cash, take that cash, prepay my mortgage, re-borrow it, and then invest it again. And I can do this within 7 days, 10 days, you know, trade plus 3 settlement or whatever it is. I still have $400,000 of debt that I did a week earlier. Nothing's changed there, except for the nature of debt. That certainly has changed. I've generated $10,000 of tax deductible debt, and I'm still invested $10,000. I can also do this with cash. I get cash as a bonus from work, for example. The age-old discussion is, what do I do with this $10,000? Do I pay down my mortgage or do I invest it? And you Google search this and you're going to come up with millions of entries. Well, there is no battle. There is no question anymore. You can do both. You can prepay your mortgage and pull it out and get it invested. Cash flow diversion. Let's say I've been taking $300 a month from my employment income and it's been coming out of my bank account regularly each and every month. And some investment company is buying me more units in a mutual fund, shares of stock, whatever it is. Great, I'm doing something. I'm putting money aside. What can I do? When that $300 comes in from my employment income, I instruct a prepayment against my mortgage and then re-borrow it to invest. I'm still investing $300 a month, like I was before. It hasn't required any new cash for myself, but I'm accelerating the elimination of non-deductible debt and I'm accelerating the creation of tax deductions. And to note here, I'm still making my regular mortgage payment at the top left there in gray. So this is all extra above and beyond that. Drip accelerator. This investment portfolio I built up, we were talking about $10,000 slide earlier, a couple slides earlier. A lot of people say, I'm in this for growth. I've got dividends that this investment is earning. I have the option, do I want to reinvest it automatically? Or do I want that in cash? A lot of people say, I just buy me more units, buy me more shares automatically. I don't even want to see that cash. Great. What can they do? Say, yeah, I do want to see those dividends in cash because I'm going to overpay my mortgage. Then I'm going to reborrow and then buy the exact same mutual fund, the exact same stock that's spitting out this dividend in the first place. Prime the pump. So here we're rounding back to real estate investment here. We need the right type of mortgage in order to implement this strategy. If you don't have it, you got to get refinanced into the appropriate readvanceable mortgage for your particular situation. That's very important. You don't just go out and get any readvanceable mortgage. You need someone trained to look at your situation to determine which one's best for you. But when you get reappraised for the refinance process, let's say your house comes in at $500,000. Let's say you've already got a $400,000 mortgage. It's just with a lender that doesn't work for this strategy. Now you're with a lender that does. On a readvanceable mortgage, they're only going to go up to 80% loan to value. So that's $400,000 that they're willing to lend you on this mortgage. Well, you need all of that to pay out the old lender. So you start doing the plain Jane Smith Manoeuvre, the regular mortgage payment, pay it down, borrow it back. But what happens if your house appraises at $600,000? They're willing to lend a total of $480,000. They only need $400,000 to pay out your old lender, which means on the line of credit portion on the right side, you've got $80,000 of available equity right off the bat. Now, this is ignoring the 65% HELOC rule, which came into effect in 2012. But in this case, we've got $80,000 available equity right off the bat. I can choose to use some of it, all of it, or none of it. That's a discussion I have with my advisor or my spouse. What am I comfortable with, right? But you do have the ability to pull that out and invest in mutual funds, stocks, bonds, REITs, mixed. Well, what about a down payment on your first rental property? What about a down payment on your second rental property? Right? Pull this out though, invest it. Do not buy that Corvette. Because then if you engage in the Smith Maneuver, you're going to have non-deductible debt on the line of credit and you're going to start polluting that with borrowing to invest on an ongoing basis. So only use it for deductible purposes. But now you've taken that $80,000 out, down payment on a rental property, you find some renters, and now you're able to implement the cash flow down accelerator. And here's what typically happens in Canada. We go up, we get a rental property, we find some renters. you know, in this case, it's a 2,000 in, 2,000 out cash flow neutral situation. But I set up my dedicated bank account. I'm feeling good about this. My renters start paying me $2,000 a month. Well, that's great. It comes in, then it goes right back out because I got to make the mortgage payment on that rental property. I've got other expenses associated with that rental, maintenance, upkeep, all that sort of fun stuff. So money in, money out. What should we do? When that money comes in, number one on the top right there, rental receipts. Instead of letting it sit there until I have to pay expenses, prepay my mortgage, my own mortgage against the house in which I live. Now, this relies on the rental property being a proprietorship. It can also be a proprietorship, say a home-based business. I knit sweaters in my garage. I sell them online. I'm not afraid to admit this to anybody, right? But you can do this with any proprietorship. So rental receipts come in, you prepay your own mortgage by that $2,000. That line of credit limit increases $2,000. Pull that back out, and then you service those expenses. And if I'm prepaying my mortgage by $2,000 a month, above and beyond the regular mortgage payment that I'm making, this is where we see amortizations go from 25 years down to 7, 8 years. And again, this isn't any new money from you. This is not coming from your pockets. It's coming from your business. You're just redirecting the way you use funds that are already flowing through your personal financial system. So, no additional cash is required to implement the Smith Manoeuvre, as I've said. Why is that? Let's just look at the plain Jane Smith Manoeuvre. I start off with a $400,000 mortgage, period one there. Balance is $399,272 after the very first mortgage payment, column C of $2,214. This is my monthly payment. It doesn't change. It's constant each and every month. Well, the very first month, from that $2,214 payment, $1,486 goes to service the interest on that principal residence mortgage, but $728 reduces the principal on that mortgage balance, meaning I can borrow back that $728 when that line of credit limit increases dollar for dollar. I do so, pull that $728 and invest it. The next month, I'm still making that $2,214 payment. Oh. There we go. I'm still making a $2,214 payment for the second month, but a little bit less goes to interest. This is the way mortgage math works. And if a little bit less is going to interest, a little bit more is going to principal. So I have $730 available on that line of credit that month. I pull that out. $2 goes to interest on the first month's borrowing of $728, leaving $730 minus 2, 2. What?
Sorry,
I'll do the math for you. $730 minus $2 that goes to interest, leaves $728 to invest. The next month, $733 is available. 5 to interest because I got to service the interest on the first 2 months borrowing, leaving $728 to invest. The next month, $736, 8 to interest, $720. So this is how no cash is required to come from my pocket to service the increasing interest expense on this line of credit. Now, these numbers aren't exact. They're going to go up and down, but you understand the principle. So to sum up, each month you're able to invest money you would otherwise have available. Each month you're generating valuable and increasing tax deductions. You're able to eliminate your expensive mortgage in record time. These benefits start now. They occur simultaneously. No new cash from you is required. So smithmannet, that's our website. Master Your Mortgage for Financial Freedom. We sell it on the website. We sell the Smith Man calculator, which you're going to see in a second. We sell the homeowner's course. We sell all this stuff. But if you want to learn more, you don't have to buy the book. You can go to the library, check it out for free, right? They're all over the place. It's about, if you're interested, learning more, right? Not putting food on my table, right? Figure out a better, financially better off Canadian is a better off Canada. So it's about education for everybody out there with the mortgage. Now I want to talk Smith Manoeuvre Certified Professional Accreditation Program. One of the things my father and I saw for many years was people saying, I thought I was doing the Smith Manoeuvre. I talked to my investment advisor. He was going to put me into the Smith Manoeuvre. And it turns out it wasn't the Smith Manoeuvre. Maybe it was a bit off. Maybe it was nowhere close. There's a lot of misinformation out there. The internet is a rat's nest. Don't go looking there for information. But in order to solve this issue of Canadians not knowing who they can trust when they're going to implement this strategy, I'm training up all these professionals, realtors, brokers, investment advisors, insurance companies, So I'm training up these professionals across Canada. We've got 64 of them in 6 provinces from BC to Nova Scotia. James Canal is in the course. He's taking the course right now. On this call, I saw Keaton Kirkwood. He's an SMCP. I think I saw Andrew Scholhoff. He's an SMCP. So we've got a bunch: BC, Alberta, Ontario. On the website, there's a button, Find Smith Manoeuvre Certified Professional. You submit your inquiry. We can put you in touch with someone who's close to you who can advise you on implementation. Smith Manoeuvre calculator. This is just a quick video to give me a little break. This is what we built out just recently, a couple of years ago, and we're constantly improving it. But this is just a quick demonstration of what the Smith Manoeuvre calculator does. You might have to press play on the bottom of the screen there. There on the far left on the bottom. Yeah.
It's going to be a very, very fast demonstration of
the
Smith Manoeuvre calculator.
I'll narrate it though.
So one second, I'm going to give it a name, a scenario.
A new scenario. I guess I don't get that right.
We can enter various types of income. I'm going to throw in $150,000 of employment income.
Who's talking?
I've also got a rental property proprietorship, and it generates $36,000 in rental revenues per year. And it costs me $34,000 a year to service the expenses on that rental property. I'm also going to input that I have $30,000 of mutual funds invested. And I've also got a $10,000 emergency fund. And down here we can see my marginal tax rate is 45.8%. I'm going to go to the next sheet. I'm going to fill in my house value at $750,000. The mortgage balance on that is currently $450,000. The interest rate is 2.9%. The amortization defaults to 25 years. On the readvanceable line of credit side of things, I've got a prime rate of 2.45 and a premium of 0.5% for a total of 2.95%. Next, I'm going to go to the fund page where we start to see results. I can throw in whatever I project my investment to grow at on an annual basis. We'll leave it at 8%. This is saying the very first month's mortgage payment leaves me $769 to invest. I'm going to go ahead and invest that all. Here's where we start to see some results. Taxation improvement, total deductions over the amortization of the mortgage of $109,000, which lead to total in tax refunds of $50,000. No amortization improvement yet, we'll see that soon, but a net worth improvement of $388,000 already at this point. Now here I can adjust the amount that I accept from the lender. They're willing to lend a total of $600, but I can move that up or down and we can see the results change. I won't go into an explanation on this right now, but let's just say I only want to accept $550,000 from the lender. So we've seen a bit of improvement in the results. Here's where we'll see amortization improvement. If I apply my annual tax refunds as a monthly prepayment against that an annual prepayment against that mortgage, and also reborrow that to invest, we'll see amortization improvement and also net worth improvement here. 2.33 years saved off my non-deductible mortgage, net worth improvement up to $551. The debt swap accelerator, I've got $30,000 that I already inputted in mutual funds. I'm going to go ahead and debt swap that and watch the results here. The years saved and net worth improvement. There we go, 4.6 years saved, net worth improvement of $791,000. I'm not going to input any future lump sums. What I'm going to do is debt swap my emergency cash. I'm going to secure a line of credit, a personal line of credit that I'm only going to use for emergencies. Therefore, I can debt swap this cash. I can prepay my mortgage and then get it invested. And we're going to see further results here. Cash flow diversion. Let's say I have been investing $300 on a monthly basis. That's how I built up my $30,000 in mutual funds. So I'm going to go instead apply that as a prepayment each month and then reborrow it to invest. 5.42 and 869 goes to 8.42 and net worth improvement of $1.164 million. Cash flow dam accelerator. I previously entered my rental revenues and expenses, and that works out to $3,000 a month in revenues and expenses of $2,833. If I implement the cash flow dam accelerator, we're really going to want to watch this one here. Instead of saving 8.42 years off that mortgage at this point, I'm saving 18.25 years, which means my original 25-year amortized mortgage is going to be gone in 6.75 years. Dividend reinvestment plan accelerator, I won't go there at this moment. Prime the pump accelerator. Based on the numbers inputted, apart from that non-deductible mortgage debt when I refinance into a readvanceable mortgage, I've also got $100,000 of immediately available funds with which I can prime the pump. So I can withdraw some, all, or none of this if I wish, but if I do, I'm going to get this invested immediately. So if I pull $50,000 of this to prime the pump, then we'll watch the net worth improvement go from 1.3 to 1.7. Now I've saved 18.5 years off my mortgage. I've received total tax refunds over the course of the mortgage of $145,000. And again, instead of 25 years, that mortgage has gone in 6.5 years. So this net worth improvement, this is net worth improvement, meaning I've got an investment portfolio of $2.21 million offset by 100% tax-deductible investment loan of $484,000, leaves a net improvement of $1.726 million. And the next screen here, that just shows the graph. The green line descending at 25 years to the x-axis is a 25-year amortization. This blue line hitting $0 is the reduced amortization of my mortgage. The red line over here is my investment portfolio. The yellow line is my total debt. And then I can view and print a report, which is going to summarize the results. It's also going to give me my instructions for the monthly process of the Smith Manoeuvre based on my numbers. So there you go, a quick demonstration of the Smith Man calculator. I hope you enjoyed. Okay.
Okay, so that is it, everybody. I don't know what our time is like, but if there's any Q&A, happy to engage.
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple minutes still. Does anybody here have any questions at all about the Smith Manoeuvre? We have a couple minutes still.
Yes.
If you're investing like, you say the 18 years, so if it's like, if you have a lot of properties, it's convenient to say, hey, it's always convenient. But if you have like 50,000, they pay by themselves, right? So is it convenient to lower 18 years? Like the equity to get 18 years.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
If you have like 10 properties, you want to save 18.5 years.
Yeah.
Like with
So what happens if instead of one property, I'm running a revenues of 10 properties through my house?
Yeah, it's convenient, I think.
Well, you're not going to have to do that very long, and then you go back to business as usual, because we saw what happens with one property. Amortization goes from 25 years to 8 years or whatever it is. You throw a second property on that, you're going to be finished your non-deductible principal residence mortgage debt really, really quickly. So you're not going to need to throw 10 properties at this. Plus, you're going to run into prepayment privilege penalties on your principal residence. You only prepay so much, and you start incurring penalties. Some readvanceables don't allow you to exceed how much you prepay. So this is why it's important to talk to a Smith Manoeuvre certified professional, mortgage broker, investment advisor, accountant. Hey, this is what I got going on. Well, this is the mortgage you need. This is how we're going to structure your finances and your investments. This is how we're going to prepare your taxes. And, SMCP realtors as well work closely with the other professionals to coordinate every aspect of your financial life. So I hope I kind of addressed that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, I just had a question.